Staying with the story, a joint statement by the several European and NATO member states has made it very clear that Greenland belongs to its people and that it was only for Denmark and Greenland to decide its future. Now, Greenland is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, and this was in response to the increased U.S. pressure seeking to acquire the territory for national security purposes amid reports that the White House was not ruling out military action to achieve its aims. The leaders of France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Spain, the United Kingdom and Denmark have all acknowledged that Arctic security remained quite a key priority for Europe and that they would not just stop defending the principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity, as well as the inviolability of borders. For more on this, let's extend a very warm welcome to SABC News correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease, who joins us from New York. Sherwin, it's always a pleasure. So Donald Trump on a streak to issue threats of intervention or invasion on several sovereign states can't be taken lightly, as of course per the various reactions of condemnation from the European allies. This should cause for quite a standoff with his NATO allies. What's his actual plan?
Well, I'll tell you what the NATO allies are doing, Alicia. We understand the British, the French and the Germans have been discussing a NATO deployment to Greenland in light of the rhetoric you are now hearing from the United States. What does that tell us? A potential military standoff between the United States and NATO? I mean, that is really, putting the cat amongst the pigeons, if you will, in terms of that alliance moving forward. The Greenlanders, supported by the Danish, have made clear that, they are not going to give up Greenland here, but they are willing to engage with the United States. Alicia, understand that the United States already has a military treaty with Greenland. It already has a military base on the island with the potential in terms of that treaty to expand that military footprint in Greenland. So the narrative emanating from that side of the Atlantic is, listen, if you want to secure Greenland, you have the ability to do so already without usurping, the autonomy or the control that Greenlanders and the Danish currently enjoy. We do understand that Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, will be meeting with his counterparts from both Denmark and Greenland in the week ahead. This will be the first high-level talks on this topic. But if you are looking for sort of an indication of what's happening domestically in the United States, is there a lot of backing for President Donald Trump's talk around, acquiring Greenland or taking it by force? Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, said the following: I don't think anybody is seriously considering military action against Greenland, and in the United States Congress, we certainly are not. There's something called the War Powers Resolution within Congress, the ability for when the U.S. engages, Congress must approve. You did not see that in Venezuela. And so the question then is beckoning, might similar action be taken in Greenland without congressional approval? There is certainly precedent for that.
Well, I need you to expand on that, Sherwin, because that's exactly the issue here. I mean, firstly, Trump says on the issue of Greenland, he says that it was necessary. It's a necessary strategic takeover in order to advance U.S. interests. Please clarify this stance. And also, what laws is he even using, I was going to ask, to make such changes?
I don't think he needs a law. It's the America First foreign policy, right? The Trump doctrine in terms of asserting American influence over the region. You saw the action in Venezuela, the United States now talking about asserting control over Venezuela's oil resources, the largest untapped oil reserves in the world. You've heard his rhetoric vis-a-vis Canada becoming the 51st state, Greenland. He's talked about possible military action against Mexico in terms of drug cartels, Colombia. There's a tweet outside from the White House just a short time ago about how Cuba is no longer going to have access to Venezuelan oil because, the deal between the Cubans and the Venezuelans was in respect of providing intelligence and security, in particular to Nicolas Maduro. And a number of Cuban agents were killed in that strike. And so you see the United States seeking to assert its influence in this Western Hemisphere, and it's making no bones about that. If you listen to J.D. Vance, the other day he gave a press conference at the White House in relation to the ICE killing of a woman in Minneapolis, but it got onto sort of foreign policy issues, Alicia. And let me quote you what J.D. Vance said. He said, I guess my advice to European leaders is that Greenland is really important, not just to America's missile defense, but to the world's missile defense. So the United States talking about, its security needs in the context of protecting the world. I mean, how's that looking for Venezuela? And we know that there are hostile adversaries, said J.D. Vance, that have shown a lot of interest in that particular part of the world. So, look, the United States will assert itself. The question now becomes, how will Europe assert itself? This is an unfamiliar territory for Europe to be going up against the United States, while it is still going up against Vladimir Putin's Russia as it relates to what is happening in Ukraine. So this is a very much a new moment, certainly for geopolitics around the world.
Absolutely. Would have loved to continue with this discussion, Sherwin. We are out of time. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much. It's very insightful, as always, with U.S. correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease there, of course, joining us from New York with the very latest in the U.S. threats to take over Greenland for strategic reasons, according to President Trump.